Here we go then, people. Yes, how you doing? So today we've got a dementia-friendly chair yoga class with me, Dave Rennie. So a wholehearted welcome to everybody. I think this is my 12th chair yoga class, and it's really nice to do a dementia-friendly class today. I think the vast majority of my classes will be dementia-friendly. So if you feel like this works for you, and you want to come back, then I teach every week, sometimes on a Monday, sometimes on a Tuesday, sometimes on a Thursday. So you just check out the schedule, and you can catch me here on my chair, and you're all welcome. You really are. We're going to do things very similar to how we do them week by week. So all of the movements will be done in a chair, and all you really need is a chair, whatever chair you found yourself on. Here's mine. I sometimes get up and show you it. It's nice and sturdy. It's got a wooden back. I was going to say it's got 4 legs, obviously, but you don't want a 3-legged chair. Don't kind of practice on a stool unless you're very comfortable on a stool. And what else was I going to say about today's session? Whatever chair, whatever feels good for you, and then I sometimes use a blanket, not always, but I like to have one close by, if I get a little bit cold. I think the textures of a blanket can feel really good. Sometimes I put it underneath my feet. Sometimes I put them around my shoulders. And then I've got a bolster here as well. So a bolster can be nice for some of the poses. If you want to bring the floor up a little bit more kind of towards you. This one's quite squishy, actually, but it's quite nice. I can kind of like root my feet down into the bolster as well. So anything that feels good for you. If you don't have something like a bolster, then a cushion or a pillow or whatever feels good. So you can grab that yourself, or you can get somebody who's maybe with you to grab some little extra bits, just so you get that maximum amount of comfort. And then what we're going to do is we're going to spend a little bit of time just in a little bit of groundedness, just kind of settling into this class today. And then what I was thinking we'd do, we'll work a little bit into the hips. We'll work a little bit into the torso, the upper body. We'll do some twisting, maybe do some pigeon pose, maybe do some chair pose. We're in a chair, right? We could do chair pose in a chair. It is a specific pose. But let's just see how we get on. Take all the pressure out of this practice. There's no good and there's no bad in yoga. Yoga's just yoga, right? So don't feel like you're doing it wrong or you're not good at it, because that's not true. Okay, so maybe have a little shift and a shuffle around on your chair. Now, sometimes I kind of will shuffle back and I'll lean up against the chair. Sometimes with my back against the chair. So this is probably if I was like eating my dinner, right? I'm just going to sit here like this. But sometimes I like to kind of shuffle forward. Now, if I do that, it kind of replicates the shape. I imagine like I'm sitting on the floor. Not sitting on the floor is better, by the way. It's just a different form of yoga. But I'm kind of used to bringing length in my spine. So sometimes I'll show you, keep your chair where it is. I'm kind of sitting like this, right? So nice straight spine. If you had like perfect table manners, and someone was saying, don't slouch at the table. I'm sure we've all had parents that have said that to us, right? You imagine I'm sitting here. So this is kind of how I'll sit. By the way, I never sit like that when I'm at the table. I've got my elbows on the table and I'm slouching all over the place, but I don't have to impress anyone apart from my wife. Okay, so root your feet down into the floor and then maybe bring your hands onto your knees. That can feel nice, right? And if you notice, I've just brought my hands so the palms are face up. And if it feels okay, what I like to do here is I just close my eyes. And all I'm doing here is I'm just checking in. Now, if it doesn't feel great closing your eyes, and I know it doesn't for a lot of people, please don't do anything that doesn't feel right for you. Kind of bring the movements in, bring the kind of your own practice. It's going to be different to mine, but all of the things I say are just suggestions. So if you don't like closing your eyes, what I do is I just soften my gaze. So I'm not particularly looking at anything in particular. I'm just finding that soft focus within my practice. And then from here, notice how you're breathing, which can sound really odd, right? Because we've been doing this all our lives. But these are really the first conscious breaths that I've taken today. I haven't really noticed any of my breath. Even though I've been for a run this morning, I wasn't particularly conscious of how I was breathing. Probably should have been. And then as you do that, what you might do is you might scan your body. So again, without looking around too much, kind of feel into your physicality, your physical body. So it might start with your feet. Notice how your feet feel maybe against the floor. You notice that I don't have any socks on, and I'm a yoga teacher, right? So I don't wear socks. But I do like having bare feet. And I've got this kind of nice, kind of coarse carpet that I've got my feet down on, and I can sort of feel the texture of the carpet underneath my feet. And I'm going to linger there for a little bit. So maybe you linger at the soles of your feet and you're just curious about what you're feeling. So this is a really subtle practice, right? We're not thinking about moving too much. We're not thinking about kind of, throwing any great shapes. We're just noticing these very subtle sensations in our body. Maybe you stay connected to your breath. And if you can with the breath, what I do is I inhale through the nose and I exhale through my nose. Nice and simple. But if it doesn't feel great, then what you might do is you might inhale through the nose. You might exhale through the mouth, or use your mouth for the inhale and the exhale. It's your choice. And maybe just bring your awareness away from the soles of the feet, and then just draw your awareness up your lower legs. Is there anything that kind of interests you there? Maybe the feeling of the shins or the calves. As I say that, and I feel a little gentle breeze on my legs. It's not too warm, it's not too cold. So it feels good. And then into your knees, backs of the knees, fronts of the knees, your thighs, maybe where your hands are resting, right? So I feel that kind of warmth between the backs of my hands and then just onto my thighs. And then maybe linger around the waist. How does your belly feel? Your hips. And stay in connected to your breath. Try not to, overcomplicate this practice. Try not to feel too overwhelmed by it. Make the practice quite freeing. Again, it doesn't mean that you have to do things exactly how I'm doing them. And then what I'm doing now is I'm just noticing how my spine feels. I've been sat here for a good amount of time. We're sort of 8 minutes into the class. So how does my spine feel? How much effort do I need to bring into the length of my spine? And then I'm just going to bring my attention to my shoulders. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to notice how my head balances on top of my neck. I'm going to notice how my shoulders feel. And then I'm just going to stay still and quiet just for a little bit of time. So I invite you to do the same thing. Just notice your breath, notice your posture. Maybe you feel the kind of sensations around your jaw, your cheeks, maybe around your nose and your eyes, kind of like the really subtle parts of the body that we miss. And then when you're ready, if your eyes are closed or your gaze is soft, maybe just bring your gaze up, or you can open your eyes. That's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to gently blink my eyes open. Maybe exhale through the mouth, and feel free just to have a little move around. You might kind of lift the feet if you can and just have a little move. You can always if you're able to, maybe bring your bottom off your chair and then bring your bottom back down. And then we did this the last couple of weeks. We're going to just move a little bit through the torso. So I invite you to bring your hands onto your thighs and then just draw little circles. So think about your navel and then kind of draw circles from your navel. You're not kind of looking to move too much, kind of just freeing up the hips and the lower spine. Now you can kind of match the movement with breath if you want to do that. So what I generally do is I inhale as I come forward here, and then I exhale as I come back. So my breath is a little audible, so I'll be quiet. Don't worry about the direction, just commit to it and we'll swap it out in a moment. So inhaling forward, exhale as you come back. Stay nice and relaxed through the jaw, through the shoulders. You kind of keep in, I guess the posture nice and purposeful. I guess that's a good way to think about it. And then when you're ready, come back to center and then just swap it out. Just move in the opposite direction. And then draw in circles with your torso. And what I'm doing, I'm just gently rooting down through the soles of my feet here. And it feels good, right? I'm kind of just a nice gentle movement. Feels like I'm freeing my spine and my hips up just a tad, just a little bit. Nice, couple more complete circles. And then when you're ready, inhale, bring your torso all the way back to center. And then take a full exhale. A little bit of movement through your head. So you can keep the hands where they are, or if you prefer, you can turn the palms up. Or I'm going to probably do this. I'm just going to bring my hands into my lap. And then drop your chin down towards your chest. So you just feel that lengthening through the back of your neck. And then just rock your chin a little side to side. Maybe a nice yawn comes. Don't be shy of your yawns. It's kind of a really great way that your body is relaxing. Sometimes it's not attached to just being tired. We're kind of shamed a lot, aren't we? When people say, oh, stop yawning. Yawning is really important. It kind of calms us down. And then if you wanted to, very gently, maybe kind of draw complete circles with your head. You might inhale as the head comes up. And you might exhale as the chin just falls down. And then when you're ready, you might inhale the head back to center and then just swap it out. Come back the other way. So you're just turning your head in the opposite direction. Take your time to start that movement. And again, don't worry about what the movement looks like. You're just kind of feeling into your neck, noticing any tension through your shoulders. Keep breathing deeply though, nice conscious breath. And then eventually, with a big yawn, maybe inhale, bring your head back to center. And take a full exhale. Really, really beautiful, everyone. All right, let's do a little bit of twisting. And we've done some of this the last few weeks. So let's try it this way. If you can, I'm going to engage into the arms a little bit. So sitting tall will really help you. Even though we're going to engage the arms, see if you can root down into the feet. Just press your feet down into the floor. And then as you inhale, just bring your arms out. And all you might do is just move a little side to side. This little lengthening of the side body, a little bit of twist. We're not twisting so much, but it's that little lateral movement. And you might feel, a little bit tired through your arms. If your arms, are not playing ball today and, it feels like they're aching or you don't want to bring them up, just bring your hands onto the side of the chair and just kind of move a little side to side. So, it's the same movement, it's probably just a different version, right? Think about your fingertips if you're in this version and kind of notice what it feels like to kind of draw that line from fingertip to fingertip. Notice that lengthening through the arms. And then inhale, come all the way back to center. And then as you exhale, bring your right hand down and bring your left hand onto your right knee. So you're just going to twist towards the right. Inhale to find length and then exhale into your twist. Now you can always lift up through the back arm. So you might kind of lift the back arm and kind of lengthen and twist a little more there. It's your choice. And remember, everything's a choice today. Take one more deep inhale and take a full exhale. Nice. If you have that right arm or that back arm lifted, come back to center. And then when you're ready, inhale, sweep the arms all the way up towards the sky. Nice. Bring the hands together or have the hands about shoulder width apart. And again, just move a little side to side. Notice how that feels. Nice. And then when you're ready, bring the arms all the way back down and kind of maybe look down the arms. We've moved through the neck, maybe a little side to side movement. Inhale, come back to center. And then as you exhale, bring that left hand down nice and slowly. If you get your lefts and your rights mixed up, don't worry, so do I. Think about which hand's coming down. And then bring your right hand down onto your left leg. And you're just twisting towards the left. Rooting down through the feet, every inhale, find length, every exhale into your twist. And if you wanted to, you can just swoop that left hand back so the back arm just finds a little bit more twist. And then you might feel this through your chest, through this left pec, through the shoulder area. Kind of notice where you're feeling this. Take one more round of breath. And then as you exhale, come all the way back to center. Bring the left hand down. And then again, just those little circular movements. Nice. And then when you're ready, just come back the other way. Beautiful. Really nice. Now, if you wanted to, and you can do this, you might shuffle around on your chair. I'm just going to come forward a little bit more. And then we did this last week, and I think the week before. But it's just nice to kind of, if you want, or if you can, maybe you just kind of come up onto your right toes and you just lift your right heel off the floor. I already feel quite a big activation into this right calf. Or you can make a basket grip and hold around the shin or maybe the knee. And you can kind of roll out through that ankle. This is nice, right? So I'm feeling, the more I kind of hug the knee and the more I feel it into this right hip, I'm keeping my spine long. And then I'm just rolling this ankle out. It feels good. I did a big run up in the Peak District called the Hathersage Hurdle at the weekend, and I'm feeling it a little bit, especially in this ankle. So this is a nice movement. Maybe come back to the other side. So bring the right foot down, and then maybe just come up onto the left toes. Again, it's familiar. We've done it the last few weeks. Stay here if you want. Again, it's a tremendous stretch, or you can always kind of basket grip around, or maybe right low down. It might be the left ankle kind of area, or around the shin, or I like the knee. And then I'm rooting down through the right foot as I just squeeze this left knee in. And then I'm feeling a little compression in this left hip. Nothing too much. And then maybe some flex of the toes or some circles. Come back the other way if you want. Don't feel like this needs to be anything too major, right? Just little wriggles out through the feet. Been pretty passive so far. And then bring that left foot down, or whatever foot was lifted. Don't have to follow me side to side. And then we're going to do chair pose. So we'll kind of build this nice and gently. So you want the feet, I was going to say about hip width apart, but maybe a little bit narrower than hip width. Kind of see if you can line the feet up with your edges of your chair. So you don't want your toes out like this, right? It kind of throws the hips out. See if you can turn the toes in if you're able to. And then the first version, what we'll do is we'll just kind of lengthen through the spine and then bring the hands down with the fingertips kind of activated. So you really spread out through the fingers. You see my hands? They're really spread out. My shoulders are feeling quite active here. Now, you can begin to lengthen out through the arms if that feels good. Maybe you end up here. How do the backs of the shoulders feel here, right? So you kind of see if you can find that space in between the shoulders. And then maybe you lift the arms all the way up. Now you might lean forward a little bit here, and then you're rooting down through the feet. The final thing you could do is you could step the feet back just a little bit, so you're right on the toes, and make sure that you feel balanced here. You can always bring the hands above the head, and you can bring the hands into prayer. So your choice. I like this version, it just feels better, but you could always be here with the hands at the heart, or where we started with the hands down by the thighs. So your choice. This is chair pose. Take one more round of breath, and then as you exhale, bring the hands down. Beautiful. Bring the soles of the feet back down on the floor if you're on the toes, and then just give the shoulders again a little shrug out. I say again, we've not really done this, have we? So you might shrug the shoulders up, you might bring the shoulders down. Now, when I'm kind of bringing my shoulders in circles, I can really feel tension in the back of my neck. So see if you can free that up just a little bit. Nice. All right, let's do another round of chair pose. So we've already done, so you can be here, you can be here, you can be here, you can be on the toes. So we've done it before, we've just done it. So maybe have a little adjust and then come back into chair. I'm going to keep my feet grounded, and then on an inhale, I'm going to sweep my arms up. I'm going to bring my weight into my heels, but you can always come onto the toes and just walk the feet back, and then you get a little bit more here. So your choice where you go. Inhaling, exhaling, maybe close the eyes. Even though the arms are long, you keeping the shoulders as relaxed as you can and really feel into this pose. Take one more round of breaths, a nice deep inhale. And take a full exhale, and then bring the hands down, maybe in prayer, and just have your hands at prayer position and just take a couple of breaths. Notice how that feels. All right, I promised you a little bit of work into the hips. So we're going to do seated pigeon. So you've got three choices with pigeon pose. So pigeon pose is quite a big stretch into the outer hip and then the glute as well. So let's see where we get on here. Your first option, we're going to use the right leg first of all. So have a look at the right leg, take a little visual. First option is you come onto the edge of the right foot and you place it by the left foot. So you see I just kind of swooped it across. And then this right knee is externally rotating. So there's a little activation through this right hip. Now what you could do is you could step the right foot over the left. So instead of it being on the inside of the left foot, you do that little step over, and then you get a little bit more of an opening through this right hip. Or your final option, as long as your knee feels okay, please don't push this, and make sure that you're rooting down through the left foot. Flex the toes on the right foot. Just be very aware of how this right knee feels, but you might be here. And you can just bring the hands onto the shin, spine is long, shoulders relaxed, and maybe on an exhale, you just use the kind of a little bit of activation through the right foot just to open the right knee out a little bit. So I feel it around this area, right? My glute and my right hip. But I'm sitting nice and tall, and I'm breathing deeply here. Again, notice what you're noticing here. So this is seated pigeon pose. It's one of those poses that require a little bit more breath. Take one more round of breath. And a full exhale. And if you join me here, then very gently hold on to the knee with the right hand and hold on to the left foot. Sorry, the right foot with the left hand, and then bring the foot all the way down. If you were here, uncross. And if you're here, bring the feet. So we all arrive in the same spot. Have a little move around. We'll do the left leg in a moment. But for now, let's just do a little bit of twisting. So dynamic. Bring the arms out and then bring the right hand on the heart. So you've got your left arm long, you can see, and then the right hand on the heart. And then just open that left arm over towards the left. We did it a minute ago in a static twist. And then just twist to the other side. So you just swap arms. So a little kind of windmill action. So you just kind of move inside to side. And if you want to get a little bit, I was going to say technical, it's not technical, but you might kind of work with the breath. So inhale and exhale. So you inhale to the left, exhale to the right. Don't worry about the breath too much. It's not Hugely important in a pose like this. As long as you're breathing, you're in a good spot. But this is a nice freeing action. Kind of make it up, move from side to side. Really lovely way to move. Hopefully feels quite energizing. And then when you're ready, slow it down and then come back to center. Take a deep inhale, maybe with the hands on the thighs. Take a full exhale. Beautiful. All right, so from here, what we're going to do pigeon pose on the other side. So the right leg's going to stay nice and still. You can bring the left foot right on the blade edge of your left foot, kind of open it out, maybe by the right foot, or you can cross the left foot over the right. There's a good option. So you feel this kind of external rotation of this hip, or you can always lift up and again, just make sure before you try and, you're not going to force this knee down at all. That's probably a good place for me. I'm going to hold on here with my hands. I'm going to flex my left toes a little just to protect my knee. And I've got, there's no sensation in my knee whatsoever here. It doesn't feel like it's been stretched at all. The stretch is in the left glute and it's in, so the kind of the top of the bottom, and it's in the outer part of that left hip. So it feels good. Breathe it out. Nice deep inhales and full exhales. Inhaling and exhaling. A couple more rounds of breath like that. Eyes can be closed or the gaze is nice and soft. And then when you're ready, if you join me, then unravel. Maybe you were here, we'll join you. Maybe you were here, we'll join you. And then we'll all join each other with the feet back down on the floor. Beautiful work. Really nice. All right, let's do one more thing. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up towards the sky. And this time, clasp the hands and push your palms up towards the ceiling, or if you're lucky enough to practice outside today, it's a little overcast here where I am. But nice enough, right? Little movement side to side. And if you wanted to do a little bit of seated cat-cow, you can push the palms forward and really round your spine. Maybe inhale as you come all the way back up, and then a little bit of side to side movement again. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, sweep the arms down nice and slowly, and then just have one final little wriggle out through your shoulders. We're going to finish with a tiny bit of breath work. So we're just going to do a little bit of box breathing. So this is where, imagine a window pane. This is the way I like to think about it. You inhale and you draw your attention up the side of the window. At the top, you pause, you draw like a shape, and then exhale down, and then you pause at the bottom. So if you think about a square, sometimes a window is a nice kind of visual thing to think about. But all right, so when you're ready, just follow my lead on this. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose. And then see if you can just gently, very gently pause the breath here at the top. And then exhale through your nose. And pause the breath at the bottom. Imagine a box. Inhale through your nose. Draw the line. Pause the breath at the top. Exhale, come back down with the breath. And pause the breath at the bottom. Do one more round like that. Inhale. Pause your breath. Exhale. And final time, pause your breath. And then just let your breath come back to a nice, gentle, steady rhythm. Not about thinking about it too much, just noticing how your breath feels. And from here, just notice the effects of your practice. Thank yourself for showing up today. And then what we'll do is we'll bring our hands to our heart. If you want to join me there, and maybe press your thumbs up against your heart space. And then just with a wholehearted bow, just wishing yourself well, wishing everybody else well. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone. It's really nice to practice with you all today. I'll be back next week So I remember it's on different days. It'll be either on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Check out the schedule. As schedule comes out, I think it's every day, but I think at the start of the week there's a weekly schedule, and there's so much amazing content this week, like there is every week. But for Dementia Friendly Week, check all of the great content out. It's a really beautiful way to connect, and thank you so much for coming along today. I'm back here on Thursday, 2:30. I'll be doing mat yoga, so if you want to join me for mat yoga, you're more than welcome. All right, everyone. I'm going to go now. It's really nice to practice with you all, and I'll look out for you all maybe later on in the week. All right. Take care, everyone. Cheers. Bye now.